Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Phumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. SABC Network on Facebook, X and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. This week our X poll is asking you if voter registration helped you by the fact that it has been online this year. Results of that X poll are coming up later in the program. Here's what's coming up in this particular episode. We'll look at the electric vehicle market in South Africa. We have details on technology skills that can be given to children. And in our conversation, we chat about the feud about Chinese companies that are suddenly selling goods at a cheap rate in South Africa because of online platforms. The electric vehicle market in South Africa is growing at a very huge rate. But how feasible is it to have an electric car here in South Africa?
So many automakers have detailed plans to electrify large portions of their fleets over the next decade. Volvo announced plans to be EV only by 2030, and it has a new flagship electric SUV, EX30.
You jump inside. Volvo has a 12.3 tablet-style center display that keeps the driver information at a glance with your favorite controls on the same screen. You also get your favorite apps like Google Assistant, Google Maps, and more on Google Play right in your car for a seamless experience.
A lot of people look at it as a chicken and egg scenario. Which one comes first, electric vehicle or the charging stations?
Car brands are partnering with Electric Vehicle Charging Authority, Grid Cars, to lay the foundation for the future of electric cars in the country. This infrastructure investment will make day-to-day travel as well as longer day trips and even very long journeys possible for owners of electric vehicles. The estimated range of the Volvo EX30 is up to 480 kilometers. Range depends on various factors like driving style, outdoor temperature, weather, wind, topography and road conditions. Other factors that impact range include how much electricity you use for car functions such as heating and cooling. The cost of electricity varies, but the cost to charge a car can be lower than the equivalent petrol or diesel car. Lower running cost is one of the several reasons some people switch to fully electric cars like EX30. One really nice thing about this car is that it comes with a recharge care package, which includes a wall box home recharge system. If you take the car to a fast charging station, you could get between 30 kilometers and 100 kilometers worth of range within 10 minutes depending on the voltage available. Fast charging is available at Rosebank Sasol Fast Charging Station. You can also find other charging stations on your selected route using Google Maps from the center display. Quick in and out meeting in Bloem. I didn't charge on my way to Bloemfontein, but only when I arrived at Windmill Casino. I charged on my way back at Ventersburg on the N1. I didn't need to use the charger in Kronstadt. Even so, it was offline because of load shedding.
So a bonus of using electric rather than a fuel over this period was that I paid half of what I would have to fill a petrol car. Otherwise, Volvo has crafted a beautiful car here.
Because of the age we live in, kids need to be started early on those digital skills. So we went to an organization that's helping kids as young as 10 get those skills.
A non-profit organization called Active Revision has partnered with multiple companies to prepare young individuals to actively participate in the fourth industrial revolution through provision of science, technology, and digital art lessons at schools and online.
We start with them when they are young, so from the age of 10 years up until 15, 16 years. But then once we are with them, we don't let them go. So we start with them and we move them to the next level. So we start with doing this basic of animations. Now they are doing games, they're developing games. So those who are graduating from animations, they move to do games, and then they go towards the advanced level of this kind of training. Our wish is when they go to post-matric, like universities, they should be able to easily enroll to universities which are dealing with digital arts, and the best university that deals with animation, so they can be able to be leaders in that whole space of animation and digital games.
At Bollywood Empowerment Foundation, we're really invested in the story, and we've been with Active Revision now for about 3 years. And the story that we have built with them and the learners who participated in that program really gives rise to the question of the power of imagination and what we've been able to see come out of the young people that have written the stories that we've seen over the last 3 years. And the power of imagination for me, when I think about it, is about the futures that we can create.
Since its inception in 2006, the company has added an animation and games program. They started with sourcing students from various townships and city primary schools. Today, anyone that's interested in learning about technology can apply online for a spot in the program.
As we Active Revision, the work that we are doing, introducing learners to animation, technology, it is us basically creating a resilient and thriving community.
We thought about ways in which we can use storytelling in order to teach these technologies which are so difficult to learn. And it's very difficult to just say, I want to do programming. But if you just think about what you can do with programming, for us is to take it in that direction that, okay, we're going to use a story, we're going to take a game, and then through this game, we're going to learn how to code, we're going to learn how to animate, and then from there, you can be able to use these tools in other areas.
Learners aged between 10 and 18 years old gathered at Brandfontein Joburg Theatre to showcase their designed gaming apps.
I feel like I have more opportunities to get into a good university one day, and maybe have more opportunities to interact with more of my peers and make them known to animation and development.
Active Revision has changed me a lot. It changed me mentally. It challenges me. It makes me think that not everything will be easy, so give it your all on the first try.
Active Revision says they aim to use this program to drive social change. The vision is to have the kids create content that tells South African people's stories with our own languages and create games that relate to everyone in the African continent.
A lot of people are trying to find out how they can learn coding, especially as it's a skill that is critical today, and even the government has said that they're trying to introduce this in schools. Let's find out about an online coding program.
So Zayo specifically is MICT accredited, so we have an NQF level 5 accreditation. So, we have multiple courses. We have a short course, a self-paced short course, and then we have a boot camp which lasts about 6 months. So the self-paced course, obviously you do it as and when you're able to. Usually people that are in employment take up this option. So usually it takes them between 6 to 12 months. And then with the boot camp, which is structured, that takes about 6 months. I think we all know that we live in a very unequal society and high unemployment rate. So that's the thing that we look to solve. So we saw that quite a few of our peers aren't in any work. They aren't in any meaningful work as well. Whereas on the employment side, there are quite a few jobs that are opened, especially around the tech space. So we wanted to then bridge the gap between those jobs that are actually currently available, that just require certain skill sets, and then the people that are in unemployment now that look to gain employment. So to merge the two. I mean, more than anything, we didn't want to give people just content, or either video content or PDFs to download and then consume on their own. So we simulated an interactive live environment. So when you actually go into a platform, it feels as if you're having a conversation with the instructor. So one of the things is, he'll say, there's code that I'm pushing to you now, and then you need to accept if you want that code to go in your environment, and then you start working on it with the instructor. So we simulated that environment for it to seem interactive as possible. We then added AI to the process where, it picks up all the mistakes that you're making, and then starts helping you along the journey. So your learning experience and my learning experience might end up then being different because of that, because we're not going to make the same mistakes and we're not going to get the same thing right all the time. So based on that, we then have a learning journey that is per individual. And then the last thing is that we understand that a lot of people like still having that human element. So you do have access then to a tutor. So you can actually request a one-on-one support session where you can actually have that conversation with somebody who speaks your language. So not everything is done in English. If you are a Setswana speaker, you're a Zulu speaker, you can get a tutor that can explain concepts in the language you're most comfortable with. So on the screen, you'll find that, on the top right, that's where your sign up pages. So your sign in button, so you click there, it'll then give you an option to basically put in your details. Once you put in your details, you'll be able to have access to your dashboard. So on your dashboard, that's where you make your decision around which of the courses that you want to take. And then if you click on any of the courses, there'll be a further explanation of what the course has inside. And then, if you like everything that you see there, that's when you then enroll into the course. We have intakes every 2 months for our bootcamp. So the bootcamps are almost like it's a school, but it's fully online and fully virtual. So you attend from the comfort of your own home. And at the end of it, you get your certification and you get your first interview post-program.
SABC Network on Facebook, X and Instagram, News Network at sabc.co.za on email. And after the break, we chat about how Chinese companies are impacting on the local textile market. This is because of people buying goods cheaply online. It's SABC Network on Facebook, X and Instagram, News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Now, the South African e-commerce space has grown at a rapid rate, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. It worked as a catalyst as it made more people comfortable in buying goods online. Now, with that, there's been an entry of Chinese e-commerce services into the South African market. The Southern African Textile Workers Union has complained about the likes of Temu and Shein entering the market and saying that they are undercutting local companies, and they believe that they're doing this because they are not paying import or duty tax on some of the goods that are being brought in, because there's a law that allows goods that cost below a certain threshold to be brought in without paying import duty. Now, that law comes from before there was e-commerce, and people would probably be receiving gifts from family and friends who live abroad. Now, to make us understand the South African e-commerce space a little bit better is Given Machola. He is a journalist, a business journalist, that is, with independent media. Hello, and thank you very much for being a part of our network, Given. Maybe if you can start by explaining what e-commerce actually is.
I'd say e-commerce is the new way of doing things. Other than the typical going to the shop to purchase whatever you need, which really makes your life become simpler. Now you are able, maybe for reasons of convenience or any other one, to purchase something from the comfort of your house, and also participating in the broader economy, maybe even widely beyond what would be typical barriers where you find yourself. So essentially, it is that component of the economy where you don't necessarily have to travel to get to a point where you are able to purchase whatever satisfies your needs or your wants. So it is that, let me say, what we can deem to be a system, an economic system, that prioritizes one's convenience.
And Given, how vibrant would you say the South African e-commerce space is?
It's not necessarily in its infancy stage, but also not yet a developed one. So a lot of work is still happening there to assist its development. And primarily, I'd say that it depends on where you are also. If you are in a major town, I mean, you would feel it is very much developed. But if you find yourself in a rural town, in a remote area, you might feel that it is really least developed because the systems are not in place. A lot of work has got to be done, more investment has got to be put in, or maybe you find that really the value chain of the e-commerce sector doesn't really work for you as smooth as it should be. So, but generally, I can say that South Africa is at a point where it's really developing, and the fact that you are seeing other major players, even from other countries and continents, coming into South Africa, it tells you of the development there. We are also seeing a lot of investments as well, also by some retailers, into the particular sector, boosting merchants there.
How inclusive is it? For example, would we see businesses in the rural areas also participating in the space?
While they are there, while they do exist, but they may be concentrated primarily in major cities, where the population of the country is quite high and such. But also in areas that also need the most, like rural areas, I don't think there's many of those there. So that's a picture I would say that we have. Not many are in rural areas.
Now in South Africa, and not just in South Africa as well, we've seen the same complaints in the United States of America about Chinese e-commerce sites coming into local markets and undercutting local industries. Should there be worry?
I think with any other, sector, so to speak, if there are new entrants coming into to disrupt what others have been for another, sometimes coming in with better advantages, sometimes coming in with better resources, even, let alone the idea or even coming from backgrounds, with the experience they might have. So that is always a cause of concern, besides the fact that it's only Chinese ones coming in, even if it was American or even European, if they come into any other country, that is a major cause of concern.
Looking at the South African widely documented divide, are there enough payment methods, or are we still relying on the old credit card and the banking system that's been imported from elsewhere?
Many South Africans are quite underbanked, and some are not banked at all. I mean, that's where the problem starts, some are underbanked, some are not banked at all, and that gives you quite a significant number, quite a large number. Now the credit card thing, would be a level beyond that. I can tell you a lot of people do not have credit cards, despite attempts by banks, to offer them, but they can't just offer them to everyone else. Now, this says that there may be something has got to happen, which looks at the means or whatever people are using. We need to be innovative in that regard, as to how do people use their money. There are people who have money, but, they are not banking it in the traditional ways. But they do have the money that they may use or they may be able to purchase with in this card. Now, it's a matter of being, because one other challenge out there is that, the e-commerce sector seems to be an exclusive kind of a sector. It attracts certain people. It's not really mainstream as yet, Now it allows people who have the means, it attracts those people.
Given Majola, thank you very much for being a part of our network. Given Majola, there is a business journalist with the independent media. It is SABC Network on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Use network at sabc.co.za on email. SABC Network on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Welcome back. Here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the tech space.
The Mobile World Congress last week in Barcelona saw a diverse gathering of attendees from across the globe exploring various exhibits and engaging with cutting-edge demonstrations. The Congress also showcased advancements in electric vehicles, with attendees experiencing firsthand the future of sustainable transportation through test drives and demonstrations. Additionally, new devices like the Samsung S24 smartphone offered a glimpse into next-generation smartphone technology.
Mostly forward to see here is somehow the future of messaging, or the future of what's happening in our industry and where we are going to go forward and move forward with the authentication and such products in our industry.
Discussions around AI dominated much of the conversation, with attendees keen to discern between hype and reality in the rapidly evolving field. And now in the USA, drones, already seen and heard buzzing and taking photos and videos from the sky throughout the world, could soon be flying in San Francisco under the direct control of the city's police department as part of their response to emergencies.
The Real-Time Crime Center, or RTCC, is where you're going to be flying your drones from. So whether you've got drones around your jurisdiction that are in docks, whether you have them in the back of your patrol cars and your officers are just putting them up, letting somebody remote pilot them, that remote pilot will live here. You have a lot of screens because some of your screens you're going to have different map information, airspace deconfliction software. You might have body-worn cameras feeding video feeds in, video feeds from CCTV. All of that information gets gathered together into a real-time crime center, and that's where your drone piloting belongs, because it's one of those really, really critical information streams where you want your high-level officers taking them all in, making good decisions, and then relaying that decision quality data back out to the responding officers in the field.
Even though San Francisco is headquarters to generative AI poster child OpenAI and flanks Silicon Valley, it has been conservative about using technology to fight crime. Indeed, in 2019, San Francisco became the first city to ban facial recognition surveillance technology by government agencies due to concern. And now in Switzerland, China's BYD last week showcased its Yangwang U8 at the Geneva Car Show, a luxury plug-in hybrid SUV capable of floating in the event of accidents involving water.
This Yangwang is a very special car. It's not only a luxury car, it's a high-tech car. It has E to the 4th platform. That means that every engine of every wheel has its own engine. So it can turn separately. So it can make a tank turn, as you know, it can move like a crab. And it's so sophisticated.
According to BYD's marketing manager for France, Guillaume Calva, the model could perhaps be brought to certain European markets with limited distribution, but not necessarily exactly in its current form.
Our expo this week is asking if the online registration process for this year's elections helped you at all. Now, 62% of you say yes, it did help. 16% of you say no. And 22% of respondents say you were always interested. That's it. That's all we have. You find us on SABC Network on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And it's newsnetwork@sabc.co.za on email from Ms. Pumelele Zondi and the team. Bye-bye. Have a good one.